Well, hello, and thank you for tuning in to Dave and Callie. But I want to warn you, for those that aren't not in California, this video may not be for you. However, for information wise, you just might want to go ahead and watch it. But anyway, today we're going to talk about what's going on with Gavin Newsom, what's happening here in California in the water situation, and maybe there's something going on. But first, watch this clip, and we'll get back to you after this clip.
Look, it goes without saying, we're here with intention and purpose, and that is to address the ongoing drought conditions in the state of California. As you may recall, in April, we initiated our first proclamation of a state of emergency related to this year's drought. We are now 2 years into a drought, having just come out of a 5-year drought that concluded just a few years ago. Arguably, we have been in drought conditions as far back as 2000, not only here in the state of California, but all throughout the west coast of the United States.
Okay, wait for a second. Let me show you this. Folsom Lake water levels above average for now. And you notice up at the top, this is May 17th, 2022. And Fox 40 Sacramento reported this. Okay, so what it says is that it's 85% full, which is 104% higher than its normal levels, okay? So its capacity at 100%, which we don't ever see, but you know, it's 85%, which is an all-time high for now anyway. So just keep this in mind as you listen to Gavin Newsom talk.
States, some referring to the conditions in the West Coast appropriately as a mega drought. These conditions are familiar to many Californians. As a consequence, we have conservation as a way of life as it relates to being more efficient, more effective in terms of our use and utilization and distribution of water resources. However, conditions are such, they continue to devolve, and as a consequence, today we are doing what we had signaled was likely to happen, not only after the initiation of an April proclamation of a state of emergency, but the subsequent state of emergency that we announced in May. We are back today to sign an additional proclamation of a state of emergency, including an additional 9 counties, total now of 50 of our 58 counties officially are now in a order that allows the ability for local water agencies as well as our state partners to be more efficient and effective in terms of moving to address issues in real time.
Okay, guys, so as you see, you know, he's talking about everything being voluntary and so forth. And keep in mind that election's coming up. And so he doesn't want to come out as the bad guy. So behind the scenes, what's really going on is he's basically told all the local agencies that control all these waterways and reservoirs and so forth to get a handle on it and do what they have to do to impose fines or regulations or something, rather than him coming out and mandating it to, you know, gives him plausible denial, you know, where he'd say, well, hey, it wasn't me, you know. But we kind of look and see through all that. Now, you know, you understand that he is in a position where we do need to save water. There's no question about it. The situation that we have with the people who are trying to conserve the Delta smelt area, which is kind of it's a half mix of salt water and fresh water as the water goes down into the Delta. And there's this particular ecosystem that survives in that little fluctuating waterway. Now, where I kind of look at it is I go, well, wait a minute. Now let's back up a little bit. And this is on the conservation people. If you have drought seasons and then you have wet seasons, what happens is all this water would run down these little rivers and streams and go into the delta, most likely carry a lot of debris and so forth, because it literally would come down there unfettered, you might say. The water would carry dirt and salt and so forth. So what would happen is, this smelt area would only be small and temporary. And of course it will fluctuate. Now on those dry times, now what we're doing is we're going back and we're looking at what if we didn't have any dams? Because dams are kind of like a battery, Not only do we create electricity by letting water out on these dams, but we also hold back water so that we have water throughout the year. And the other thing is that there's a steady, even stream going in to the delta. So what's happened is that's created a sustainable ecosystem right there in the delta, because the fluctuation isn't as great. So you don't have years where this whole thing gets wiped out, and then other years where it flourishes. So when water gets low and we don't have enough water to let out on the dams, now all of a sudden very little is going into the delta. Well, what happens now is, because the environmental impact, they're saying, well, we have to absolutely maintain this. To hell with the people in California that need water. To hell with the farmers that need to grow crops. We need to keep this delta going. So trillions, and I mean trillions of gallons of water go into the ocean because we're keeping this smelt going, rather than maybe holding back or diverting the water and using it where it helps sustain life as we know it, as far as human beings here in California. So anyway, I just want you to kind of take a look, and here's a real quick visual for you. This picture shows a reservoir, and this right here is what it would look like if there was no dam. Consequently, during dry seasons, these little rivers and contributaries and so forth would look like this, most of the year, except for when it's raining and water's running down these little rivers. So my point is, what happens to the smelt, as they call it, if we didn't have all those dams? So man-made situations, or let's say a man-made situation, has caused the stability of this environmentally protected area that was not stable before man came in and built dams. Anyway, that's just food for thought. All right, you guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Share this with everybody that if you live in California, and see what they think. And remember to write comments down below.